If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more content to help your church thrive. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more inspiring church leadership content. Your support helps us reach more people. Hey there! Before we jump in, if you're passionate about building stronger, healthier churches, or just love discovering new insights, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Join our growing community where we tackle real issues, share practical wisdom, support each other every step of the way. Tap the bell so you never miss a moment that could inspire change in your church. Ready? Let's get started. You know, it's a tough world out there for churches. 73% of churches admit they're stuck in conflict right now. That's a staggering number, right? It feels like we're constantly navigating choppy waters, whether it's internal disagreements, doctrinal disputes, or just plain old misunderstandings. But what if I told you that 2,000 years ago, 3 little letters, almost like sticky notes from the Apostle John himself, laid out a clear path to navigate these very challenges? Ready to dive into the script that could change everything for your church? Those 3 letters are 1, 2, and 3 John. And trust me, they're not some dry, abstract theological treatises. No, these are vibrant first-century dispatches, packed with practical wisdom. Think of them as urgent group chat replies from John, still pinging with battery life left for us today. He wrote them at a time when churches were struggling, splitting over ego, grappling with confusing doctrine, and battling what we'd now call TikTok-level misinformation about Jesus. Sound familiar? It's almost uncanny how relevant his words remain for the modern church, isn't it? John's core message for us is about living out faith through active love, holding fast to truth, and navigating church conflict with grace and wisdom. John kicks off his first letter, 1 John, with an incredible personal touch, almost like a spiritual selfie. We touched him. He's not just talking theory here. He's talking about a tangible, eyewitness account of Jesus, countering those early influencers who were spreading the idea that Jesus was just a spirit, a hologram, not truly human. John's answer to this isn't some complex theological seminar or an academic debate. Instead, it's a call to a lifestyle, a spiritual filter, if you will. Walk in the light. What does that even mean, walk in the light? It doesn't mean you suddenly become perfect, that sin magically vanishes from your life, not at all. It means living with transparency, with honesty, and with an open heart before God and each other. Why? Because hidden sin, unconfessed sin, that's where division really takes root and starts to fester within a community. It creates distance, suspicion, and ultimately breakdown. So John urges us to do something radical, confess out loud. It's about owning our imperfections, acknowledging our struggles, not just to God in private, but to our community. When we do that, the blood of Jesus isn't just some abstract theological concept. It becomes real-time antivirus, cleansing us and restoring our fellowship with God and with one another. It's powerful, isn't it? It says, I'm not perfect, but I'm striving to live openly in God's grace, and I trust you to meet me there. Then John pivots to the very heart of the Christian life, love. But he's not talking about some superficial emoji-level affection. He's talking about costly love. This isn't just a feeling, it's an action, a profound commitment. John practically stacks the evidence. If you harbor hatred for your pew mate, that person sitting next to you, or that fellow church member, you're still stuck in night mode. You're not truly walking in the light. But if you're willing to lay down your time, your money, your reputation for another, that's when you truly prove God's light is shining through you. That's the real, tangible evidence of God's presence. So, what's the modern script for this? Imagine this. Every single board meeting, every leadership gathering, begins with a 30-second confession round. No fixing, no judging, just naming. Here's where I struggled this week. Here's a way I fell short. It's incredibly humbling, right? But it builds trust and vulnerability. Then, the agenda gets reordered around one crucial question. Who is our Gethsemane tonight? In other words, who is the person or group we'd rather ignore? The one causing discomfort? The one we'd rather not lay down our time or resources for? That's where our costly love needs to be directed, because that's where God's light needs to shine brightest. John's second letter is a short, sharp postcard to a chosen lady and her children, likely a house church or a metaphorical representation of the church, and his message is crystal clear. Don't open the guest room to influencers who delete Jesus from the story. This isn't about being inhospitable in general, but about protecting the truth. John is warning against deceivers who deny Jesus' divinity, particularly those who refuse to acknowledge Jesus has come in the flesh. This letter highlights a critical tension. Love and truth aren't rivals, they're dance partners. You can't have one without the other, not authentically. Love without truth is just empty applause, a feel-good sentiment that ultimately leads nowhere, even enabling destructive behavior. But truth without love? That's a wrecking ball, causing damage and division, rather than building up. We're called to speak the truth in love. John's GPS for us is pretty direct. If they won't stick to the core truth of Jesus, the Jesus who both camps in flesh and reigns in glory, fully God and fully man, then it's time to change the locks. This isn't about being exclusive or judgmental, it's about discernment and protection. It's about safeguarding the flock from teachings that undermine the very foundation of our faith. We're not called to tolerate every idea, but to test the spirits and hold fast to apostolic teaching. So, what's the modern script? Imagine hospitality teams or even just leadership pre-screening speakers, guest teachers, or even curriculum with 3 short foundational questions. 1. Is Jesus fully God? 2. Did he sweat blood in a real human body? 3. Is his death the only repair for our brokenness, the only way to salvation? A may or a hesitant, well, it's complicated on any of these questions means a polite no thank you. Instead of a mic, they get a DoorDash coupon. Why? Because protecting the truth of the gospel isn't unloving. It's the highest form of love, especially for the next generation. It says, we value your soul more than we value being nice or avoiding awkward conversations. Letter 3 is a fascinating peek into early church dynamics, a tale of 2 leaders, Gaius and Diotrephes. Gaius is the unsung hero, bankrolling road-weary missionaries, offering hospitality and support to those spreading the gospel. Diotrephes, on the other hand, is the opposite. He's slamming doors, sending out angry emails, loving to be first. He refuses to welcome legitimate Christian workers and even puts out those who do. John doesn't mince words, he sides with the sponsor guy, Gaius, and tells the church to imitate good, not power. Here's the kicker, and it's a hard truth for us to swallow. Churches rarely fall because of outside raids. They rot from within. They decay when leadership clings to chair thrones, positions of power and control, instead of towel thrones, embracing the humble, sacrificial posture of a servant. Jesus himself modeled servant leadership, washing his disciples' feet, demonstrating that true authority comes from serving, not being served. Diotrephes represents the danger of pride and self-promotion in leadership, while Gaius embodies the faithfulness and hospitality that builds up the church. What's the modern script for this? Every lead team member, every elder, every pastor signs a rotating Gaius clause. This isn't just a symbolic gesture. It forces them to actively fund and welcome a ministry or an initiative they don't personally benefit from, or that isn't directly under their control. Maybe it's supporting a missionary not directly affiliated with their denomination, or investing in a local community outreach that operates outside their usual programs. This simple act keeps ego on a fiscal leash, ensuring that generosity and humility remain central to leadership. It reminds everyone that leadership is about advancing God's kingdom, not building personal empires. If these scripts feel like a breath of fresh air, like oxygen for your church, then don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. We want to hear from you. What's the one confession your church needs to make this week? Or what's a boundary you realize your community desperately needs to set? I genuinely read and reply to every single one because your insights are part of this vital conversation. When you pull these 3 powerful letters together, you get a timeless, 3-part template for a healthy, thriving church. 1. Weekly confession keeps the lights on. It fosters transparency, humility, and ongoing cleansing, creating an environment where sin is addressed, not hidden. It reminds us that we're all broken people in need of grace, which breaks down barriers and builds authentic community. When we confess, we walk in the light, and that light illuminates our path forward, preventing the darkness of hidden sin from taking root. 2. Boundaries keep the wolves out. This isn't about being unloving or exclusive, it's about discernment and protection. By clearly defining what constitutes foundational truth, we safeguard the spiritual integrity of the community and protect vulnerable members from deceptive teachings that could lead them astray. It's a loving act of vigilance, ensuring the message of Jesus remains pure and powerful. 3. Shared generosity keeps the leaders humble. It counters the natural human tendency toward self-promotion and control. By intentionally redirecting resources and support to ministries outside our immediate sphere of influence, leaders learn to prioritize the broader kingdom of God over their own domains. This fiscal accountability and outward focus cultivate a spirit of servant leadership, where the towel throne is valued far above the chair throne. Run that loop-consistent confession, clear boundaries, and radical generosity for 6 months, and I guarantee you'll see a transformation. You'll watch attendance anxiety drop as people feel safe and known. You'll see volunteerism climb as people feel empowered and invested. Statistics from the Society for Church Communication consistently track these kinds of positive outcomes, demonstrating that these ancient principles still yield modern results. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I can almost hear the common pushback, the objections bubbling up. Let's tackle them head on because these are important considerations. But our church is small. This is a frequent concern, isn't it? We're just a little house church. We don't have these big problems. But let's remember, John's original audience was house church size. He wrote these letters to intimate gatherings of believers, not massive cathedrals. And guess what? He still told them to screen teachers, to be discerning about who they welcomed into their homes and hearts. In fact, the smaller the group, the more susceptible it can be to the influence of a single false teacher or a divisive personality. In a small group, one bad apple can spoil the whole barrel much faster. So, size isn't an excuse, it's a reason to be even more diligent with these principles. But boundaries feel unloving. This is a tough one because we're called to love everyone. But John himself says that refusing falsehood is actually the highest form of love, especially for the next generation. Think about it. Is it truly loving to stand by silently while someone teaches something that could derail another person's faith? Or to allow a divisive spirit to fester unchecked? True love isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it means drawing a firm line to protect what is precious. It means saying, I love you too much to let you believe a lie that will harm you. Or, I love our community too much to let it be fractured by this. It's a love that prioritizes spiritual well-being over temporary comfort. But confrontation is awkward. Oh, believe me, I get it. Confrontation is almost universally awkward. It makes our palms sweat, our hearts race. We'd rather avoid it at all costs. But here's the stark reality. So is a split church. So is a church racked by internal strife, gossip, and resentment. So is a community that loses its way doctrinally because no one had the courage to speak up. You have to choose your awkward. Do you choose the short-term awkwardness of a difficult yet necessary conversation? Or do you choose the long-term, soul-crushing awkwardness of a fractured, unhealthy, or dying church? The Bible actually provides clear steps for conflict resolution, emphasizing humility, listening, and seeking reconciliation. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is engage in that uncomfortable conversation for the sake of truth and unity. Alright, so how do we move from theory to practice? Here's a quick start checklist. Actionable steps you can implement this week. Print the 3 questions from 2 John. Is Jesus fully God? Did he sweat blood in a body? Is his death the only repair? And tape them inside your sound booth, in the church office, or even on your personal Bible. Let them serve as a constant reminder for discernment when evaluating any teaching or speaker. Schedule a quarterly Gaia Sunday. On this day, every member is encouraged to write a check or Venmo, a donation to support someone else's ministry. A missionary they know, a local charity, or a Christian organization outside your church's direct budget. This intentionally broadens your church's impact and fosters a culture of outward-focused generosity. End each elders or leadership meeting by asking 3 simple yet profound questions. Where did we see light this week? Where did we limit lies? And where did we lift others? These questions serve as a powerful reflection, ensuring you're consistently applying the core principles of 1, 2, and 3 John to your leadership and ministry efforts. John's trilogy isn't some dusty, irrelevant appendix in our Bibles, it's the operating manual, the essential guide for churches that are allergic to division and yearn for health and vitality. It's a constant call to embrace light, set clear boundaries, and practice radical hospitality, then rinse and repeat. The same Spirit who once inspired an old man on Patmos to pen these powerful words is just as ready today to script your congregation out of the messes we find ourselves in. The ink is wet, the wisdom is timeless, and the invitation is clear. It's time to lean into these ancient truths and write the next, vibrant chapter of your church's story. Before you head out, don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and subscribe for more deep dives into timeless truths. Join our growing community by turning on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Got thoughts or questions about John's letters? Drop them in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.